Summer's in full swing, and Americans are back to enjoying their vacations after working remotely for 2 years, which is kind of the same thing. Everybody in the country either got COVID, got vaxxed, or both. Even the New York Times is admitting New Yorkers are over COVID. But so-called experts are on high alert. There is a new COVID strain. They're calling it COVID-19 Omicron subvariant BA.5. Talk about terrible branding. It's like LGBTQ. Once they started adding letters after that, people just got confused. Does this really need to be taken seriously, guys? A subvariant of the weakest variant that we all got?
So it needs to be taken seriously. Everybody wants to put this pandemic behind us and feel and hope that it doesn't exist. It does.
So my message right now is very simple. It's essential that these Americans, as Dr. Shah said, get their second booster shot right away.
And the media, they're in lockstep, hyperventilating over this new scary variant. Health and Human Services Secretary Xavier Becerra, who I had never even known existed until just now, said this.
Most everyone who's an expert on pandemics and these viruses will tell you that strong chance that we'll see a resurgence of the virus, whether it's the variants that we have now or new variants.
Wait a second. Are mask mandates coming back? Lockdowns? Should we be prepared to pivot?
If we do see a significant surge, particularly one that might result in increased hospitalizations, we have to be prepared to pivot and perhaps reinstitute some of those restrictions.
I have a hunch we're going to hear about mass mail ballots right before the midterms. My next guest is no stranger to Dr. Fauci and all the so-called experts. Senator Rand Paul joins us now. So, Senator, what is going on with this new COVID-19 Omicron subvariant BA.5?
Well, the one thing you didn't hear is it deadly? Is anybody going to the hospital? Do people actually know if they're ill who are getting this subvariant? There are statistics, and we should be honest with people. Omicron itself was about 90% less likely to put you in the hospital than the first variant, from the wild type the year before. So if no one's telling you any information, how can you make any judgment other than the emotionalism and the sensationalism of the government? So instead of giving us facts, they give us sensationalism. One thing we do know, though, for those who are saying, oh, you need to take 25 boosters, we do know that the vaccine for Omicron was 5 times less likely to be effective than it was with the first initial virus. So one question you might ask these people that are telling you have to get vaccinated and vaccinated and vaccinated, how come the flu vaccine changes every year and they're not willing to change this vaccine? Now, you might have me with an argument. I'll listen to you if you tell me we've got a new vaccine that actually has something to do with the current virus, but they're telling me they want me to take 5, 10 vaccines for a disease that we're now 5 or 6 or 7 iterations away from the original virus. So these people should be discounted. They should be fired from office and largely ignored because they're just not honest people and they're not following the science.
Yeah, and science himself, Dr. Fauci, was boosted about 5 times, got COVID twice in 2 weeks and missed his daughter's wedding. So I don't know what even to make of that. I want to move on to another topic, though. Halfway around the world, in Sri Lanka, where we're witnessing the consequences, Senator, of a green revolution firsthand. The country's now bankrupt, and the people have hit the streets, and they're overrunning the president's palace, and they're struggling to find food. Listen. They're pool hopping in the presidential palace, and this is all because last April the government there banned fertilizers in order to promote organic agriculture. They didn't want any chemicals involved in any of the farming, and a year ago the country was entirely self-sufficient in food production, and now nobody can find anything to eat, and prices have jumped 80%. What does that tell you?
It tells you that we should be very wary of central planning, of allowing any kind of central government to make the decisions for the entire economy. My understanding is that rice production is down 50%. The last time we tried this, they called it the Great Famine in China under Mao. So central planning is not a good idea. But don't think this is only happening in Sri Lanka. In our government, there's a very popular herbicide, weed killer, that we've used since 1960, and the government's talking about essentially trying to eliminate it. We've had this battle for 20 years. Most of the studies show that it affects only plants. It has to do with photosynthesis. Most humans I know are not involved with photosynthesis in their bodies. So the thing is, this is for plants, not for animals, and yet government's talking about banning it or eliminating it or reducing the ability to use it, but they're not one of them has ever been on a farm or has anything to do with understanding what it takes to grow the nation's crops. The one thing we do very well in America is grow things. Our agricultural sector is able to export 25% of what we grow. What we don't want is the Biden administration sending us down the route of Sri Lanka.
Yeah, then we'll be diving into Biden's pool at his beach house in Delaware. All right, Senator Rand Paul, thank you so much, as always, for joining Primetime.
Thank you.